Hello, my Boozy Bookish friends. Welcome back to my channel. This is Justine, or Jay if you prefer, and welcome to my new video. So today, oh, it's so hot. It is officially summer in the tropics, so I have so much hair. Although, isn't it so nice? Isn't it so pretty? Anyway, it's hot, it's sweaty, but I'm here. I'm here for you guys. And today we are drinking still Sand Valley Carmenere. I really shouldn't be drinking a red when it's this hot, but this is a bottle I had open and I didn't have any other wine in the fridge. Well, this didn't come from the fridge. I kept it out because it's red, but I didn't have like a rosé in the fridge or a white. So we are sticking to this. What's that in English? Pinaninindigan ko to. I'm dying on this hill, essentially, is the closest I can think of. I'm dying on this hill because this makes me so warm. But it's such a good wine though. It's one of my favorites. Anyway, for the past two videos I haven't been drinking much because I just got too excited. But today is gonna be a bit of a chatty video. So we're gonna drink some more. So today we'll be talking about, so if you know the title of this, you'll know that today we'll be talking about audiobooks, and in particular how audiobooks can help struggling or disabled readers enjoy books and have an easier time accessing the joy of reading. Now, this is part of my AuDHD reader series, which is a series where I talk about how autism and ADHD affect my life in general, but in particular my life as a reader and how I enjoy books. If you watch this video and you're interested to watch the first in the series, I will link it down below. I discuss executive functioning and how it affects my ability to read. So basically, let's jump right in. Audiobooks, great accessibility tool or cheating? Cheating. Um, So I will admit that I came into the audiobook game really late. Like I only recently discovered the joy of audiobooks, I think sometime last year. So very late into the game. And by this I realized that I did listen to books on tape. I loved books on tape when I was a kid. You know those like little Disney series, books on tape? I loved those as a kid. So maybe I should have clued into this really earlier. But anyway, I jumped into audiobooks pretty late, and this was a mixture of like not really having access to them because Audible was really expensive, and I think I mentioned before that there's not a real library system here where I'm at. And then on the other hand, I also thought that I would struggle to enjoy books this way because of auditory processing disorder, which is also thanks to ADHD and autism. So it was like just a mix of not having access and also just like not realizing it would be good for me. I did realize, of course, that audiobooks were important for those people who struggle with eyesight, such as the visually impaired or the elderly, but I didn't see how they would be good for me as autistic and ADHD. So, I happened to have an Audible free trial, and so I used not Audible, sorry, Scribd. I had a Scribd free trial. I'm so sorry. I had a Scribd free trial, and I um tested it out, and there were just so many audiobooks, and they were so good. They were like such high quality, and so I got hooked. And when I tried audiobooks, like I was just so amazed. So first of all, the whole auditory processing problem um didn't turn out to be such a huge issue because of how many tools there were that allowed me to um rewind, fast forward, adjust the speed of the of the audiobook, make it faster, make it slower. All of those tools are so easy and so accessible that it's really it's so easy to make the audiobook work for you. And then what amazed me most of all, of course, was just how easy and accessible it was to read this way. It was just so it just takes a huge mental load off your brain. And like the executive functioning, in my last video I talked about executive functioning and how it's the brain processes which are in charge of initiating tasks and staying on focus on tasks. Now the executive functioning required to read an audiobook is like 10 times less than the executive functioning required to read a physical book or like an ebook. And I was just like, what even is this? And um the best part is I could also play Sudoku or color or play on my phone while listening to audiobooks. I could sew, I could do other things, and it helped add the stimulation that my brain needs to stay focused. And it was just so much easier to binge read books because like I would just like kind of listen to the book and doodle or play Heyday or play Sudoku or color or whatever. And it was just a really fun way to spend an evening. And then, of course, there's the fact that I could read essentially while I was stuck in traffic because traffic is hellish here. I could read while I took a walk outside. And in fact, it encouraged me to take walks because I could assign that time to reading instead of just zoning out. I could even listen to audiobooks while doing other relaxing things that are not like common that, oh dear, I'm so sorry, that you might not think about, such as recently I got through like 5 or 6 chapters of an audiobook while getting a massage. And I was like, this is the best thing. I'm just like reading and someone's like working out the kinks in my back. This is amazing. This is perfect. That's how I spent Valentine's Day this year. And I was just like, this is awesome. And so I am fully converted to the magic of audiobooks, and like I regret not getting into it so much sooner. And while I can't say that it's done magic wonders for my reading, in terms of like the number of books that I read, because I'm sure all my viewers are like, you still only read like 2 or 3 books a month. Can you imagine if I didn't have audiobooks? Like how much less that would be? So it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I'm fully converted to it. And I really should have I recognize that I really should have realized this sooner, um, for a number of reasons. First of all, is the fact that I really enjoy podcasts. And I mean, audiobooks are to podcasts what movies are to TV, essentially. Um, so I really should have realized that um, the auditory processing wouldn't be as intimidating or as much of a problem as I thought it would be. Um, and the other big clue that I had, although the books on tape is a new clue I didn't think about, I should have really clued into that. But also, the other big clue that I should have listened to is the fact that so many members of the autistic and ADHD community love audiobooks. Like so many people who are part of my communities listen to audiobooks and are able to read because of audiobooks. Now, um, plenty of people who I know in the neurodivergent spaces I occupy are only able to read because of audiobooks. Now, I will put in a disclaimer here that this obviously does not apply to all neurodivergent people or to all autistics and ADHD people. You might be like, hey, my cousin's ADHD and she says audiobooks suck. And I'm like, that's fair and that's valid. There are still plenty of people who struggle to read even with audiobooks or specifically with audiobooks. That's fine, that's valid. That doesn't make your diagnosis any less valid, but it also doesn't invalidate the fact that there are so many people who also are able to read because of audiobooks. So both experiences are valid. Let's not turn this into a big deal. I'm talking specifically about my experiences and about the people whom I have interacted with directly. Okay? So, because of my own experience, because of my own experience, I focused on the benefits of audiobooks for autism and ADHD. But obviously, audiobooks also have a big impact on people who have other neurodivergences such as dyslexia and dyscalculia. Now, because I can't speak to the experiences of those people, we're not going to be talking about those too much here. But I also need my notes because I forget things. So, um, anyway, the anecdotal evidence that comes from, I didn't find any like studies, but I did find plenty of anecdotal evidence from like experts who are ADHD themselves, or from educators who are teaching ADHD students or autistic students who find that audiobooks are a huge help to them. Now, what is this anecdotal evidence? So it's for basically the exact same reasons that I found audiobooks so amazing or so helpful. So being able to complete other tasks while listening to the audiobook reduces distractions and helps you focus on the book. Or in fact, not only does it reduce distractions, it can help you engage more with the content and improves reading comprehension. Reduces anxiety and frustration over struggling to read. Like, I'm sure you've heard of ADHD people complaining about like reading the same sentence over and over again. Now that doesn't happen nearly as much with audiobooks, and in fact it is a lot more accessible, and because of all the other things it's less likely to happen. And also it's less intimidating to start a book because like visually, like if you see like a big chunker of a book, you're like, oh damn, I don't wanna start that. It's a lot less intimidating to start a book that you're just going to listen to and sit and listen to and enjoy. um it's most important of all, it allows people to move. Especially for ADHD people, we get fidgety and we love to move, we love to move. I have a friend who I know who paces while she reads, and that's the only able she's able to focus. And being able to listen to an audiobook helps incredibly with that. So yeah, being allowed to move while reading is a huge help. I also read somewhere, I need my notes for this. I also read somewhere that some autistic people benefit from audiobooks because it means we can hear the tone in the voice in the way that the the words are meant to be spoken. Now, because autistic people do struggle with parsing nuance and understanding intent and sarcasm in anything, in conversation, in words, and all that. Being able to hear the tone and having those additional context clues helps us clue in to the nuance of, or to the intended meaning of a book or of dialogue and all that. And it means that we're less likely to take something literally and more likely that we're able to appreciate the book fully. Um, it's also been noted that listening to books can help quiet your inner voice, which for a lot of neurodivergents who have comorbidities with depression and anxiety, can be, your inner voice can be not the most friendly voice you can hear. And this is definitely true for me. I definitely use um auditory stimulation when I don't want to be left alone with myself. Although I find I use podcasts for this more than audiobooks because I have a particular comfort show podcast that I just like to zone out and listen to when I'm feeling stressed out. But I have definitely reached for audiobooks as well when I need to not be left alone with my thoughts. So yeah, those are, so think about all those ways in which reading through audiobook instead of reading through print books helps disabled people. And it's not just neurodivergent or disabled people who benefit from audiobooks. Now, according to UNESCO, a couple of years ago, there were at least 773 million people worldwide who are illiterate, meaning they can't read or write. Now, this is close to 10% of the world's entire population. So 10% of the world population cannot read. And most of these are women. And while the data that I found from UNESCO was not aggregated according to other marginalized identities, I can just guess that a lot of these people come from lower income countries, lower income families, and who are BIPOC or disabled or LGBTQIA, aside from being also women. So obviously you can imagine as well that the ability to read or to read functionally impacts a lot of other opportunities and access that they have to claiming and demanding their rights, such and this will just worsen opportunities for abuse and exploitation that these people face every day, which is already a reality just by living in a marginalized community. So it has been shown that using audiobooks helps to support people who struggle to learn to read. Now, most of the articles you will find for this are about children who are reading below like their grade level, and how audiobooks can supplement their reading skills so that they can move up in their reading level. However, there are also articles that show that the exact same skills that are needed for children to read are applicable to adults as well. And so you can imagine that audiobooks that help young learners would also help older learners how to read. So the way that they do this is also by, I need my list. So for instance, audiobooks can help you improve things like critical thinking, comprehension, vocabulary, and just a general enjoyment of the learning process, the learning experience. There's also this thing that if you haven't mastered like the letter sound relationships, the effort it takes to decode each word takes up so much mental space in your brain that you're not able to focus on the content or on like oh dear, there's a fly. Where did that come in? I was talking about something so serious. Anyway, so like the effort to decode the words, like the letter sound relationships of the words, takes so much mental effort in your brain that you're not able to focus on the content or able to exercise like higher level literacy skills, which prevents you from understanding and appreciating the book. So by listening to a book, you relieve that mental load from your brain, which means you can practice higher level literacy skills, and eventually the decoding and the phonics will come, and you can practice that in other sessions. So it's just audiobooks are just such an amazing tool. And you have to wonder, like, while it's not common here in booktube, or at least not in the corners of booktube that I occupy, there's still so much resistance to audiobooks. There are still so many people who are like, audiobooks don't count, audiobooks are cheating, they're not really reading. And you're like, why not? Why not? When they have so many things to offer, especially for marginalized readers. And like, you have to wonder, you have to ask these people who say that audiobooks don't count, like, what is more important to you? Your idea of reading as this elitist, highbrow endeavor, or more people reading, like more people actually reading? When you're passionate about something, don't you want to share that with as many people as possible? And audiobooks does that. It allows so many more people to engage in the joy of books and with reading. And that is my little rant for today about how audiobooks help disabled people and other marginalized readers, and how format elitism is ableist, classist, and all that other not so fun things. So I barely drank. I'm so sorry. I got caught up. But like, leave a link down below. Tell me what your favorite, leave a link, leave a comment down below. Tell me what your favorite audiobook is and why that's your favorite audiobook. And tell me what you think. Do you think audiobooks should be made more accessible to a wider group of audiences? Do you think audiobooks are cheating? If you don't agree with me, please tell me down below why you don't agree with me. And yeah, cheers. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff.